Snaptech IT is the expert go-to resource for all things CMMC, education, certification, preparation, and ongoing managed IT. Manage, secure, grow. Check it out at snaptechit.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to another episode of 123 CMMC. My name is Dana Mantilia, and I will be your host. And our guest today is Karl Bickmore. Welcome back, Karl. How are you doing?
I'm well, thanks, Dana. How are you?
I'm good, good. We have a very exciting topic today. We are going to talk about the Code of Professional Conduct.
Yeah, everybody loves this topic. Come on now.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So what is the Code of Professional Conduct as it relates to CMMC? Riveting minds want to know.
Well, to me, it's kind of actually the crux of what CMMC is trying to do here. It'd be one thing to be an accreditation body that does audits, but it's really about creating a sea of certified third-party assessors, registered providers, registered provider organizations that have all been trained, that signed up to follow a code of conduct, that have decided to behave in a way that you can count on and rely on. And so really it's setting the expectations for the CMMC process, and it's making sure people are credentialed, that they've had their background checks, and that they're authorized to give advice in the subject matter. And so it's making sure that really, if you're going out there to get advice on how to do CMMC or getting third-party assistance in the process of becoming accredited, that you're going to work with an organization that's guaranteed to operate with a certain level of conduct, a certain professional level of conduct. And so that's what it's about. And it's binding. I mean, it's something that, if violations are found, that people can lose their accreditation. And that can be a big deal. So.
Yeah, and I think this is really, really good too, because this is obviously a very big undertaking to attack and try to achieve CMMC. So to know that everybody that should be playing in the arena has been vetted and is qualified to be helping with this, because I think that this is an opportunity for people to see, oh, I'm going to go help people with CMMC, and they're really not qualified to, or maybe not have had background checks. So it's a good thing. It's a dry topic, but it's a good thing. So
yeah, I mean, it's we're already seeing the mayhem. I'm sure that people that are looking into this are already seeing there's lots of people that will speak up on this. But how can you know who you can trust? Whose advice is the good advice, or who's sending you the correct path towards CMMC compliance? So.
And, a lot of people don't know what to ask, the person, because if they're a non-technical person who's not well versed in any of this, and they're just a business owner that owns a manufacturing company, they don't really know what to ask. So it's good that we're creating this,
Yeah. So, the first thing is, it's like, look, if you're looking to get CMMC advice, somebody that has been registered with the CMMC accreditation body, or CMMC-AB, has signed on to this code of conduct and can be found in violation of it and remove that credential. But look, there's already plenty of organizations and plenty of folks giving advice on CMMC that are giving terrible advice, that are not correct in what they're telling people to do. And so I think the only way you really can get the right answer from the right source is by working with somebody who is following this code of conduct, who has signed up and has been vetted and known to do it, and know that they know the right information. Mm-hmm. They've been trained for it.
Mm-hmm. And then this kind of ties into what we're talking about now. Why is the code of professional conduct in place? And I think it's to, you can answer, but I think it's to make sure that everybody is at least dealing with ample-bodied people that
Well, I think it's important for companies trying to help others, because I think, even if you as an organization are trying to do right by a customer, the customer may ask you to do something that's really not proper. They may ask you to overlook something or to see something in a way that's just not correct. And so it's a standard that you can fall back on as a provider as well, to know that you're not compromising values and integrity in the process either, because there will probably be customers or folks looking to do it that will look to kind of bend that process or look to test where the limits are, and knowing that you can fall back on this and say, look, I'm following the procedure and I'm following the code of conduct is a big deal. I mean, this is about integrity. This is about proper, correct information. This is about reliability in the ecosystem, so that if you're working with a registered provider organization or a certified third-party auditor organization, a C3PAO, that you are getting the correct answer, and you won't have to be go sent down a path, spend a bunch of money on something, and then find out you didn't do it correct. It's a big deal.
And I think that there's going to be a lot of liability at the end of this when there are people that maybe don't pass an assessment, and now here's the finger pointing starting. And that's when people got to make sure that they're covering themselves, that they, number one, were qualified to be giving this information, and that they were not doing something like you'd said that maybe the client asked them to do. I didn't even actually think about that. That's a very good point.
Yeah, well, it goes both ways, right? And so, both the client needs to find the right provider to work with or the right consulting team to work with, and the consultants need to know the standards of where they need to operate on, despite what the customers requested of them. I definitely find it goes both ways.
That's a good point. So what are the guiding principles of the Code of the Professional Conduct?
Well, it's like you would expect in a lot of code of conducts. I mean, there's a certain level of professionalism that's required. It's about objectivity, not having a third party or as for instance, you shouldn't be the third party auditing organization if you're also consulting with the company on how to do their self-assessments or providing registered provider type services. And so, you want to make sure you remain objective and you don't have conflicts of interest. It's also a high degree of confidentiality, that you're not talking about your customers or things that you've seen where you're not supposed to. Proper use of methodology, ensuring that your method of scoring or rating or assessing is in fact correct. And then making sure that whatever information that you provide has integrity. And so it's really the things you would expect, professionalism, objectivity, confidentiality, methodology, and information integrity.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a very good point about the confidentiality of the organization's information too. So you do want someone that is not going to be sharing that all over the place. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of the point of a lot of this to begin with, is that you should be able to trust that assessments and things are being held in confidence. That's true.
All right. So what happens if mandatory practices are not carried out by credentialed or registered individuals or businesses?
Well, that's part of what the accreditation body, I'm sure, sees as kind of their role is, they can introduce sanctions. They can introduce denial or revocation of credential. They can remove registration. They can change your eligibility to become accredited as a provider or as an organization seeking accreditation. And so there is a governance around this. And, violations of the code of conduct can result in these kind of sanctions.
Good. That's my next one. So does the CMMC, are they monitoring this, or is it not, how does somebody get turned in? CMMC related activity of all credentialed, registered, and other roles. How are they tracking this?
There is an active monitoring from the accreditation body, and also they'll be receiving complaints or inquiries from anybody that wants to talk about somebody that helped them or some organization. And so there is a pathway to lodge an issue with the accreditation body, and they are monitoring it. And so they have an investigation team. They have the ability to jump in and ask questions, and people that are in the process have agreed to allow that conversation to happen. And so yes, there is active monitoring, and they can investigate any potential violations.
So what about if somebody just hires somebody who is not, certified or anything with the AB? Is there any way? Do they have any authority over them, or is it just shame on you for hiring somebody that isn't qualified?
Yeah, look, they do in the sense that it can control whether the organization can be approved. But look, it's one thing if an organization misrepresents that they are a CMMC expert or that they are a registered provider when they are not. That can lead to sanctions towards that organization. I mean, you can have consultants of whatever kind in your business that you want, but if you're not working with somebody that's accredited and that's known to follow this, you're really taking it into your own hands. And when you get to the experience of the audit, that person, that person or that team, that consultant, really won't be able to have a footing for expertise or for giving advice because they have not been held to this standard. And so, it would be wise to make sure that you're working with accredited organizations or folks that are registered providers, registered provider organizations, because that's going to have a footing and an understanding in the audit process. So look, you can have whatever kind of consultant you want, but buyer beware. And if you don't have this kind of system to rely on, then you're really taking a higher degree of risk than probably is necessary.
So bare minimum, they should go to the CMMC-AB website and at least look and see, make sure somebody's listed on there.
Yeah, so that's a great way to find it. Look, CMMC-AB.org, that's the website. There's a marketplace there. You can find auditors that are available that have completed the training. There are not very many yet, but more coming out all the time. It's where you can find the current list of registered providers and registered provider organizations. And so, if you're beginning the process, you're probably not ready to call for an audit just yet. So you're probably looking for a registered provider organization to begin your conversation. And they will help you through the process of looking what self-audit things, maybe help you put together your system security plan, your plan of action and milestones, do some maybe some assistance with self-auditing, showing you policies. There's various things that the RPO will help you get prepared for the process of then having the actual audit conducted. So I mean, really, there's two things. One is talk to if you're working with a prime subcontractor, like one of the folks that have the direct contract with the federal government, and you're a subcontractor to them, talk to their accreditation people about what their expectations and timeline are, and then talk to an RPO about how to meet their expectations and fall in line with your prime subcontractor. That's really where you should go, and you find them at the CMMC website, like we talked about. And once again, if you take that path, then that there's a code of conduct that's enforceable, that you can have potential remediation, you can have sanctions that can happen if somebody doesn't treat you well. And that motivates somebody to do a good job. And, they've been trained. It's just going to be overall a more safe path and probably a more effective and efficient path towards getting your CMMC accreditation.
All right. So then the next question is does the CMMC-AB offer corrective action following an investigation? So what happens if somebody does get, turned in and they look into this?
Well, so, there's a lot of conversations around this within the community. Look, there's sometimes like, hey, this one probably is a warning. Some they'll say, hey, look, you can do remediation, fix this thing, do this thing, get it checked out, and you're good to go. There is a potential of suspension or denial. You could have your credentials removed, various things. But I think, the idea isn't to be some kind of Gestapo here per se. It's about making sure people are giving the right advice and doing the right thing. And so if you have an RPO and they happen to give some advice that is not 100% great, well, one, that shouldn't happen. But if it does, there is a process where they can give warnings and they can ask for specific remediations. And so all is not lost. You can work through these things potentially. But there is corrective action that can follow, and it can be as far as termination of credentials, registration, or accreditation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, is there anything else you want to throw out there about this before we go?
No, I just, like I said, as you're thinking about this process of trying to figure out what your CMMC path is, just remember the value of an organization that's been background checked, that has registered to have the training, and has signed up to follow this code of conduct. And it's a pretty thorough. I mean, when I signed it myself, I spent a lot of time on it. It's a significant set of standards, and I appreciate that, because I know that as I participate in this, I can now come in with a certain set of standards that people can expect. And so to me, I appreciate that the standards being set, and I'm looking forward to helping organizations through this process. We've already started with several, and we're looking forward to having more and more conversations around it. And we just encourage people to work within the RPOs, work within the accreditation, and you can expect a certain standard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it's a good place to start. Good knowing that everyone's got at least that background check, and they're agreeing to follow that standard. So there's enough other stuff to have to worry about in this whole getting your CMMC act together. So, well, thank you, Karl, very, very much for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And we hope to see you on the next episode of 123 CMMC. So take care.
Thanks, Dana. Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Snaptech IT is the expert go-to resource for all things CMMC, education, certification, preparation, and ongoing managed IT. Manage, secure, grow. Check it out at snaptechit.com.